Everyone, and good morning. It's Brian Ju, and today is Thursday, and we're here in the dungeon in the basement of the TBS building, as usual, for our Thursday show. And I know a lot of you, don't know about the basement, but it's really, we call it the dungeon because it kind of feels like a dungeon. It's dark. It's kind of closed in, no windows, so that's why we call it the dungeon. And I know a lot of you guys also know, you guys heard all over TBS, all the advertisement about the new season coming up. But what's going to happen to us? Well, you're going to have to wait and find out, because I don't want to give out any spoilers or anything. But what we're going to do today is give you small hints of what's going to be happening, but not too much, because we want to surprise y'all. Alrighty? Now, so you guys have to wait for me. Now, speaking of waiting, here's a new track by Maypay called Don't Wait. And it's related to the word of the day, so it's going to be our very last word of the day. So that's, I guess, a free advertisement of what's going to happen in the new season. This is our last word of the day, and it's Maypay with Don't Wait. Welcome back to What's Poppin' with Brian Ju on TBS efm 101.3 in Seoul and surrounding areas, and GFN 98.7 in Gwangju and 93.7 in Yeosu. Now, how do you get in contact with us? It's pretty simple. You can send us a text to sharp or pound 1013 for a charge of 51. Send us a tweet too at TBS What's Poppin', or send us an email to efmpoppin@gmail.com. Also, send us a Kakao Talk message if you add TBS EFM as a plus friend. And the best part about that one is you can send us messages, videos, and pictures for free. Yes, and, feel free to just say hello. If you don't have a request, just say hello, give us a shout out, because we love to hear from our listeners. And also, we're going to be updating you all about the new season with the open studios and all that good stuff. Not today, but shortly, hopefully on Monday, we'll have a better update, with more clarified, detailed update of what's going to go on with the open studio in the new season and all the other good stuff that's going to happen in the new season as well. But for now, we're going to get into the word of the day. Now, the first song was Maypay singing Don't Wait. You might be thinking about the word of the day being wait, or no, or don't, but no. Don't Wait is actually a breakup song, so we're not going to do that. So with that in mind, our word of the day is going to be... What do you think it's going to be? I gave you a hint. New season's coming up. What's that mean? New beginning. Yes, today's word of the day is going to be new beginning, because on Monday we're going to have our new beginning, which sometimes when you're introduced to new beginning, some people just don't want to embrace it. Some people want to keep the old way of life, the old-fashioned way. But you know what? In life, we need new beginnings. That happens to everybody. Happens to me, happens to families. When you get married, that's a new beginning. Now you're starting a new family. You got your husband, your wife, and your family. When you have a child, that's a new beginning. Now you got to raise a child. And with that in mind, we're going to get to the next song, which has nothing to do about childhood. But it's my man, Cray Cray, Mr. Ludacris, with the song Move, Get Out the Way. That was Ludacris with Move, Get Out the Way. And coming up on today's show, it's Thursday, so that means Eugene will be here for Poppin' News, where he's going to tell us all about the funky cray-cray news going around the world. Dumb criminals, crazy parents, strange stories. I'm just saying, some crazy people in the world today that we live in right now. Yes, some weirdos in the world. I have some weird people in my life too. Don't want to say names, but yes, they're cray-cray people. But, it's the cray-cray people that keep us tame. I used to be cray-cray, but now I'm kind of sane. That's my new word. Cray-cray, sane. Anyways, continuing along with our new beginning theme, one of the best songs ever that caught this vibe was made by my homegirl, Beyonce. And can you imagine what a strong, confident woman must feel like when she's ready to start all over? Yes, all you confident, independent women out there. And she has to act all hard to make it look like the man doesn't even matter to her, And then the song that we're going to play for you guys right now, it's called Irreplaceable. She's singing about a man, and he's anything but irreplaceable. And in fact, there's one line where she's like, I could have another you in a minute. Matter of fact, he'll be here any minute. Oh my goodness. Yes. She's trying to be all hardcore, confident, and just make the man feel like, he ain't no good to her no more. But, inside she's probably breaking down and breaking apart. And a lot of you women do that. You shouldn't be in all that pain. You should be, just don't act like you're confident. Bring the confidence alive. Let it out. Let the man know that you're moving on. That's what matters in life. And all you irreplaceable people out there, this is for y'all. This is Beyonce with the song Irreplaceable. That was my sexy homegirl, Beyonce, with Irreplaceable. Every time I hear that song, it just makes me tingle inside, because she's such a talented artist. It's a great song. It's got a great beat. To the left, it was written and produced very, very, perfect, in my mind, perfectly. Written by my man Neo, I believe. Yes, he wrote the song for Beyonce. It's got a Neo vibe to it, you know. He wrote it. That's what happens to a lot of tracks. If you actually listen to a song, you'd be like, oh, that sounds like someone so would sing this song, because actually, if you look at the credits, you'll find out that that artist probably wrote the track. And that happens a lot in the pop world. Anyways, we got to get to the last song, the first half of our show. And the last song for the first half of our show is by a artist who a lot of people don't really know. You're not even in America. And she's been around for a long time. She's been in the game since 1986. That's a pretty long time in the pop scene. She was born in 1964, so she's the same age as our artist yesterday, Mr. Lenny Kravitz, of course. And she's a Cleveland, Ohio rep, and she does genres like folk, blues, rock, pop, and soul. And I'm talking about my woman, Tracy Chapman. Very talented artist, had 8 albums out. She's been in the game since 1988, but she's been doing music since 1986. That's a long time. You know, that's only when I was like 5 or 4 years old or 6 years old. So she's been in the game for a long time. Hopefully when I'm, 10 years from now, people are still talking about me like, Brian Jewell, he's a legit artist. He debuted in 1999 and blah, 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 all that good stuff. But with no further ado, it's the last song for the first half of our show. Miss Tracy Chapman. What's the word of the day? New beginning. That's the name of the song. Check it out. Welcome back to What's Poppin', and now it's time for Paparazzi. In today's Paparazzi story, we have news of a former DJ here at TBS efm, and those of you who are long listeners to the station may remember a show that once was hosted by Sam Hamilton and Annabelle Ambrose, which had a really great writer. Well, he's actually my writer as well. And today's news is about Sam Hamilton, not Annabelle, my bad, Annabelle. I know your name was thrown in there, but we ain't talking about you today. But we're talking about Sam Hamilton. Now, the show he hosted ended the season right before I started the drive-in, and then, of course, What's Poppin'. And then after he left, he somehow skyrocketed into popularity, becoming quite possibly the most famous foreign person in Korea right now. And he's been doing many commercials and TV shows. For one of them, he's scheduled to do and go to Dokdo. Yes, and Dokdo is an island in the East Sea that Korea and Japan have territorial disputes over, and this is a common point of friction between Korea and Japan. So, Hyung-sik, Kim Soo-ro, Chang-hyuk, and Sam Hamilton and other soldiers that he's very publicly become a part of will go to Dokdo to begin training to protect Dokdo, just like the small police force stationed there today right now. Now, Dokdo is one of those places that not everyone gets to go to, so it's kind of neat that he gets to go out there with the group as well. And he's going to be training, so hopefully, and I wish him luck too, that his surviving and his training goes pretty well, because I know it's going to be some brutal training out there in the East Sea area. And thanks so much for protecting Korea's territory, Sam. Sam's going to Dokdo. Who would have known? What's going to happen next? Sam might even do a song with Psy and become the next viral dude on YouTube, or work with Obama. I don't know, Sam, you're just doing everything. You're the man. And congratulations. I know we chatted a few days ago, but, good luck to you, man. And I hope that training really helps you out big time. Now, speaking of turning things up, we're going to get into our next song by a hip-hop group called Ugly Duckling. And the song is called Turn It Up. All right, you guys are tuned into What's Poppin' right now. It's now time for Poppin' News with my man Eugene. How you doing, Eugene?
I'm good. How are you, Brian?
Not too bad. My voice has come back.
That's good. Yeah, I was noticing earlier in the week you were struggling a little bit there.
It wasn't even a struggle. I thought it was down. I was like, hey, guys. I sound like Cookie Monster from Sesame Street or something.
But I'm glad you feel better. And
you feel better. I'm overdosing on some vitamins right now.
Oh, that's good. So drinking the vitamin C and everything. And
yes.
I guess your musical, you're really scared about that, right?
Oh, my gosh. When it's your first opening night. Because the thing is, when I do musicals, since we're double casted, I always have them pretty much do another character that plays my role the first opening night, so I can watch them and learn from them.
Right.
But I had to do the opening night, so it was nerve-wracking. I did stutter a little bit, and there was one song in particular that I had trouble with, but I actually pulled through, so I was pretty impressed with myself.
That's it. Brian Jew is a professional, everyone. You pulled... No, like the past 2 days, today and yesterday, there were problems with the script where we changed something at the last minute, and you just, muscled through it. It was amazing,
really I just
good.
know my artist, that's all.
Of course, let's get into the Poppin' News. Unfortunately,
let's do that.
This season, this will be the last edition of Poppin' News, and
yes,
possibly the last time you'll hear me delivering news. No, just kidding. Actually, new development has happened, so I will tell you about that possibly in the open studio tomorrow. But the first news story. It's really interesting. This comes from Huffington Post, and it's about a grandfather who picked up the wrong girl from the school. He was supposed to take his...
Ew. That just makes me say...
It sounds really weird.
Yeah.
But he was supposed to go pick up his granddaughter, take her to the doctor, and bring her back to school. Right?
Alrighty.
Because she had a doctor's appointment. And, grandpa doesn't go to work, so he's the perfect person to do that. So this grandfather's from England. He went to this girl, his granddaughter's school, went to the class and said, I'm looking for, this girl. And she has the same name as the other girl that he actually took. So I guess he didn't remember what his granddaughter looked like exactly because, he's in his 70s. He went in, asked for the girl, and then, the girl came and met him, and they went to the doctor, and then he took her back without realizing that it wasn't his granddaughter.
Oh. You don't look at the granddaughter's face?
Well, I guess, maybe they looked very similar, perhaps. There's no picture out about them right now, but basically they have the same first name and they're in the same class. So he probably went to the teacher, like if her name was Lisa, for example. It doesn't say her name to protect the innocent, but he'd be like, yeah, I'm here to take Lisa to the doctor. And he's like, oh, Lisa, come here. And so that's what happened. The 6-year-old girl that actually went to the doctor, she said she was confused by the whole thing, but the man looked really nice, so she thought, maybe she should go with him. So it's cue to teachers and parents. You got to be really careful about
It's funny because if you think about it, as a girl, she probably just thought it was like a normal procedure for school.
Yeah.
So she didn't think anything was wrong. But for future references, if you guys are going to pick up kids from school, use the full name.
Exactly.
That would help.
And I'm also wondering, the actual granddaughter must have seen her grandfather there, and why he'd be like, why is my grandpa taking somebody else away? That's weird.
Or she could have been in like the back closet, like cleaning things up, or in the playground.
Or maybe, she just didn't want to go to the doctor.
That is true, because kids hate the doctor.
That's possible.
So she was like, oh, let that Lisa go. I don't want to suffer.
Yeah, the parents of the wrong girl said, thank God it was an innocent thing done by a confused old gentleman.
Okay. Maybe the old grandfather was, like, his vision was off a little bit.
Maybe. I mean, again, they said he was in his 70s. It's also possible that, he doesn't visit his granddaughter that often, so maybe he just forgot what she looked like. And, kids grow pretty fast. If you haven't seen them in a year, maybe it's, something like that could happen.
Okay.
But hopefully not too often, right? All right, let's go to the second story. This is pretty weird, actually.
I'm looking at the picture and it looks very weird.
We always talk about the dumb criminals out there. This is from the newspaper called Orange.
That's not even dumb criminals. This is some stupid beep criminals.
Yes. Okay. So if you're in prison, you want to make a phone call to people. You don't have your cell phone. You're going to try.
You got to use a payphone, of course.
Obviously, and they're going to screen your calls. But if you want to try to sneak a cell phone in, there's many ways you could do that. What is one way you would think? In movies, you see they try that a lot. What would you do?
In movies, you can ride a helicopter and probably drop off
oh, come on, that's obvious.
Cell phone.
That is so obvious.
All right.
What's the helicopter?
You said movie, so I'm thinking a movie.
Well, I don't know. I was thinking of, you bake it into a cake or something, and then probably the cell phone
would melt.
Well, you put it into a plastic bag, perhaps. I don't know.
You could do that, or you could put the phone into some clean laundry, and the laundry service that drives a truck into the jail. I sound like I've done this before.
or like those people on DuckTales with the criminal dogs. You remember that? They'd always try to sneak stuff in there. With their mother, But actually, this is a story that came out of Brazil. It's a central prison in Porto Alegre. Have you heard of that town?
Never heard of it.
It must be really small because I've never heard of it either. But a man was in jail, and his girlfriend, she tried to sneak a cell phone into the jail by tying it to a pigeon and having the pigeon fly over the wall, into the exercise field where he could pick the cell phone up.
Well, in this case, it's not a dumb criminal.
Yeah.
It's a dumb criminal's girlfriend.
I guess, or maybe he asked her to do it, possibly. But if what happened though is really unfortunate. The pigeon, he did fly over the wall, but he was really exhausted because he's not used to carrying such a heavy cell phone.
It's like having a person carry and jump around with like 150 kilos over their head or something.
Right, and of course, if you look at the picture, you can see that it is a S brand cell phone tied to a pigeon who looks really, really tired, right?
Look at his eyes. He's like, what am I doing? Why is this weight on my body?
Right, so the guards found the pigeon and the cell phone, and they immediately searched the walls outside the prison where they found the woman. She had another pigeon, and stuck to that pigeon's wings was a backpack with a battery and about 120 pounds. So lots of money, and so she was sending money, batteries, and a cell phone to her boyfriend in prison. You know?
With a pigeon?
With 2 pigeons. Anyway, she got arrested. Now she doesn't need to have a cell phone to talk to her boyfriend because she's gonna go to prison too.
Oh, that's a beautiful story in a way.
I guess so.
Now they'll be together.
I guess so, but I mean, they do segregate the prisons between men and women, I suppose.
Well, speaking of people in prison together, this next song is perfect for it because this next song, you had Beyonce and Lady Gaga together in prison singing the song.
Indeed.
They're the dynamic duo for this track. This is Telephone by Lady Gaga.
Oh, yeah.
That was Lady Gaga featuring Beyonce with Telephone. I wanted to make up my own lyrics for that song.
Oh, yeah?
Hello, hello, baby, you called, I can't hear a thing. Cause I put a cell phone on a pigeon, you say.
Or pigeon's little wing. Yeah, okay.
Oh, there you go. It rhymed, wing.
Oh, by the way,
there
you
we
know,
go.
that song was originally written for Britney Spears
I know
by
that.
Lady Gaga.
Did you hear the version?
I did.
Yeah.
It's not bad,
Because you know how,
actually.
no, but you know how Beyonce, Britney has that nasally sound?
Yeah, a little bit.
Hello, I can't do it. Hello, hello. It just sounded really not right for her. I'm not saying, Britney, I'm not saying that you're not a talented artist. I'm just saying I feel like it suits Gaga better than you.
Yeah, one time when I was listening to that song with my wife, there's this one part where it says, I'm up in the club and I'm sipping that bub. And she's like...
I'm up in the club and I'm sipping that bub and you're not going to miss my telephone.
Right, and she's like, what does it mean, sipping that bub? Isn't bub mean a guy? She's sipping a guy?
Bubbly.
Like, no, it's bubbly like champagne. And she's like, okay. English is hard. Yeah, of course.
Well, some of the songs in English pop tracks are hard to understand because it sounds like this, it could be that. So I don't blame her for thinking that.
Yeah, a lot of times they pick words that can be ambiguous so you can, derive the meaning for yourself.
And who's infamous for that? Mr. Michael Jackson.
Indeed.
Yes.
Yes. I actually miss Michael Jackson a lot. We do. We wanted to play him in this last show, but that got canceled, unfortunately. So let's go into the next story. This is pretty interesting and funny, actually. This comes from AP. This is in America, in Florida, actually. This man was praying in church, in Florida, in a Catholic church. Then as soon as he was done praying, he got up. He went to the gift shop. First of all, the fact that there's a gift shop in a church, that's kind of weird to me.
It could be a famous church.
I guess so. But then he ran toward the cash drawer, stole all the money in the cash drawer, and started running away. And then
You stole from a church?
Yeah, that's just wrong.
Man.
That's terrible. You can't do that. But while he was running away, by the power of God, his big baggy pants fell down around his ankles and he tripped and he was caught by the maintenance worker at the church.
That's why I don't steal from no God.
And that's why it's probably not a good idea to wear big baggy pants, especially if you're going to try to rob stuff from a church.
Well, God's just going to punish you.
Indeed. And that's what happened to him. He's been arrested. Actually, it's pretty interesting. The guy who stopped him was the maintenance worker at the church, and he put him in a wrestling hold called a cradle until the police get there. You know what a cradle is?
No.
It's not like where you just grab the back of the
person's neck or anything.
It's like you have to actually get their legs and arms in some kind of hold, and they can't move at all. It's crazy. It's like a professional
I think I know. I think it's like a wrestling. Yeah, I've seen that before. Okay, that's called a cradle.
It's like if you do a half Nelson and a figure 4 leg lock at the same time, except for more complicated than that. It's really confusing. So I'm impressed by this maintenance man. He's amazing,
Wow. And there was how many customers at the time?
Customers.
12.
12. Oh, yeah.
12 customers and 4 clerks.
Yes, inside the gift shop. So this must be a very high-profile church. They said it was near Walt Disney World. So, of course, in a location like that, you get a lot of guests coming in. And, Florida's a very big Catholic state because of the high Latino population, I believe.
Okay.
So it kind of makes sense that, I guess that would be really big.
Alrighty, well, that's some crazy news, of course.
Yes.
Just a reminder for those of you who are thinking about robbing people, who we ask you not to, because first of all, it's wrong.
Yes.
But don't go to a church and do that. If you're going to rob somebody, rob yourself.
Of course.
Just, you shouldn't be robbing people anyway. And with that said, it's time to say goodbye. It's the last Poppin' news.
Yes, I'm very
for
sad.
What's Poppin'. And for those of you who don't know, Eugene will be moving on.
Yes, but I will be here for the Open Studio tomorrow, and I guess this will not be the last time you'll hear me reading news on TBS efm because I am moving to the news team.
Yes, so Eugene is still going to be with TBS. He's just not going to be with the What's Poppin' family But in our hearts, he'll always be with us. But always
Thank
support
you, Brian.
Eugene no matter what he does. But with that said, we got to get to the last song of the hour.
Yes.
The last song is, could you introduce it,
Yes,
please?
the last song is King of Silence by Chibumaro. I picked it because it's fitting, because from now on it'll be silence without Eugene in here. No, I'm just kidding.
All right, check it out. This is Chibumaro with King of Silence and Brian Ju and
Eugene Huang.
signing off.
For the last time. Peace.